Hi, welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be showing you how you can create a resource group for a virtual machine and create a virtual machine, and on the virtual machine we're going to be downloading SQL Server on the virtual machine, and when we download the SQL Server on the virtual machine we're going to get it running, and we will come to our desktop and connect remotely to that SQL Server. I've tried this a couple of ways. I've watched a ton of YouTube videos, but I couldn't get any solution. It took me hours and hours to be able to figure out how to create a virtual machine on Azure and be able to connect with my own desktop, my own computer remotely. So to get started, let's create a resource group. You could give the resource group any name. I'm just going to call it test virtual machine. Of course, I'm going to be deleting it later, so I can go with this. I go to next and make sure you have a subscription. Before you do that, I'm just going to go to next. Review. I have a subscription. Let me go back because I'm in the UK. I'm just going to use the UK here. Yeah, South. I'll go to next, and create. So I would go to the resource group I've created, and on the resource group I've created, I'm going to click on create, and you see a lot of services on the marketplace. I'm going to look for Windows 11. So I want to install Windows 11 in my virtual machine. I'm going to be using this, and just click on that. And Windows 11 Pro, I'll click on create. I have the resource group I've created. That's what I'm going to be using here. I'm going to give it a name. I would say tests Windows. I'm sorry, shouldn't have any character. Windows 11 virtual machine. Oh, let me call it VM. All right. UK South is the same location where I am. Available zones, yeah. And just leave this as it is. This is good because this is the image I'm actually using for Windows 11. 64-bit, fine. 8 gig RAM. Well, this is how much it's going to cost me a month. But you could just choose what works for you, what works for your organization. I'm just going to go with this because I'm going to have it removed shortly. Let me go with that. It's just standard. Let me choose a username. I'm going to be saying, let me just call it virtual network. Virtual network serves me right. I'm going to be using okay. Yeah, allow selected ports. And good. I'll go to next. Yeah, everything looks good here. I'm gonna go to next. Allow. So I have my virtual network, which is being created automatically, and the public IP as well. And after that, I'm just gonna go to next. And this is the RDP port. You could set up auto shutdown. It depends on what you want. You could choose the time you want it to auto shut down, or what have you. You put an email. This is my email. You just say this is the email I wanted to send me an email before the shutdown happens, and everything here looks good. I go to next, and next. And I think I'm fine. I'm just going to create for the basic. Okay, I have to confirm this that I have eligible Windows license, so that's good. Review and create. So it tells me validation passed. I'm now going to create. So it's going to take a couple of minutes to create my virtual network. I'm just going to allow it to do that for a while, and when I'm done, I'm going to connect to that. While we wait, if you have a Windows machine, you can easily connect with remote desktop, but I don't have that. I'm using a Mac, and if you're using a Mac, the easiest way to connect is to go to your App Store. If you don't have it, you go to App Store. You go to your App Store, and what you're looking for is RDP. And on your RDP, you download the Microsoft Remote Desktop. I have mine downloaded, and I'm not going to be updating now. You have this downloaded, and once that is downloaded, we're going to be using this here, and you can have it downloaded. I just copied it to my desktop, and we're going to double click on this and connect once that is done setting up. So if you've not done that, you could simply go to your App Store, have that installed, and do all of that. But if you're using a Windows machine, you might not worry. You have the remote desktop resource you can use to connect to a remote desktop. So you could just go to your search and just search for remote desktop. And I'm going to leave this for a couple of minutes, maybe just fast forward this a bit, and so we can meet at the other side. So it's completed. What I'm going to do next is just to give it a couple of minutes and for everything to be completely resolved and deployed. And when it's done being deployed, you just go to resource, and on your resource you can see that your virtual machine is up and running. You could stop it, you could restart, you could do a couple of things on it. And I'm just going to go on my virtual machine now. So you come to your connector, just double click on this, and when you double click on it, please ignore this, it's trying to make a connection to a previous to the other virtual machine I have. I could just cancel this, and let me delete this. So just show you how to do it afresh. It's going to tell me to add a PC. I'm going to add a PC and just copy the name of your IP here. Copy this IP, and I've copied this IP. I'm going to come to this place and paste the IP that I copied. I'm going to add a user account, and I think mine is virtual network. You put in your password, and if you have all of that on the way, this should work. So let's add and double click on this to connect. Yes, continue. Your virtual machine should be up and running. That seems pretty easy, but sometimes it's not. It could take a while of take a while for you to troubleshoot. You could get misspelling of your password, your username. You could just stumble on an error, and usually for a best practice, whenever you have such kind of error, copy the error. You could do a simple Google search and just try to figure it out. Okay, so I'm just gonna accept this, and my virtual machine is up and running. Let's go to Edge browser. On Edge browser, we're gonna search. How do we close this now? Okay, without syncing data. Confirm and continue. Yeah. Yeah. So let me open a new one and do SQL Server download. Which should we use? I think this should be the official website. Yeah. So if you're here, you just go down and you look for the download now, the express. Unless you're a developer or your company specifically requires you to have this downloaded, you're always safer to just go for the express. I'm going to download this now, and it's downloading. You just click on your downloaded folder, double click on it, and let's have this installed. I'm going to go for the basic. Accept and install. Alright, good. I have this installed. I don't know how long yours took, but about 5 minutes or thereabout. And if you have this page displaying on mine, all you have to do is, let's go to install SQL Server Management Studio. I'm just going to click on SSMS. It'll bring me to this dialog. I'm going to look for, this seems about right. Release number 19.3. Let's go with this. Just download this. This should only take a couple of seconds, and when it's done, we're going to go into our download folder and download our SQL Server Management Studio. Okay, so we have this. I'm going to double click on it. Just leave it on the default path and have it installed. Again, this is going to take a couple of minutes. You just have to be a bit patient with it, and when it's completed, we can now go on to connect the remote desktop. Yeah, this is done downloading, and you should have setup completed. All specified components have been installed successfully. I'll close this and minimize this, and everything should be good to go. I'm just going to come and close this as well. Yes, I want to exit. You can come to search. So let's come and search for SQL. And when you search for SQL, you're going to see the SQL Server Management Studio 19. I'm just going to open this, and you'll see open. So have that open on your machine. And please, you could do well to like and subscribe to enable me to do more of these videos. And I appreciate it. Thank you. So just allow that to open, and you can see my server name is there. Authentication method. Oh yeah, Windows authentication. And I'm going to connect to this. One thing I also try to do is to make sure I have this kind of pinned. So whenever I want to open the SQL Server Management Studio, I don't need to go search and do, it's just just kind of intuitive to come here and just click on your management studio here. So maybe you could do that, maybe you couldn't. Just forget about it if you don't need it. So I'm going to create a database. Let's just create a new database and just give it a name. Maybe call it Playground. I love this name a lot. Let's call it Playground. Leave it on the default for everything. It's just a recommendation. I'm gonna have this added. Oh no, remove that. I didn't mean to add that. So I have Playground added. I'm going to click on OK. I don't have any tables created. I can come and create a table, but right click on this and just say new query. So let's say create table. Let me say employee underscore ID. That'll be an int. You say employee underscore name. This should be an n varchar. And let's say employee underscore address. And let me just create a table we could query and see what that does. Oh, I'm not giving my table a name. Just call it employee data or whatever. This should work. Just bring it down a bit. I just like doing that. Execute this and we have a table created. So when we come to table, we can see. Oh, I'm just going to refresh this. So tables, you see our table. I can query the table. It's empty. Later on, you can fill the table. For now, what I'm going to do is to right click on this. Click on property. So I'm right clicking on my server. Click on property. Let's go to connections. Ensure that yours is on allow remote connections to this server, which is good. I'm just going to click on OK just to be double sure. So just minimize your table a bit and let's go to security. And the security is, so not the security under your database, obviously, is the security under your machine. And let's say logins, your SA is usually deactivated. And because we want to use an SQL authentication and not a Windows authentication, let's right click on this and say property, status. Let's have this enabled. I click OK. I want to see something else because I'm not even sure I know what the password for this is. Let's just change the password. I'm going to use this. Do same for this. Uh-oh. Do that again. All right, so now I'm sure of what my password is. I'm just going to click on OK. They do not match. Let me try again. All right, so just refresh this. And your SA is good. So what do we do? Let's disconnect this. Right click and disconnect this connection. I'm going to get an error. And what is the error telling me? The error is trying to tell me that there's something I've not done. And we're going to do it together because these are common errors that we get whenever we try to do that. Let me go back to my Windows authentication. Right click on these and say, I want to do something, which we missed. Instead of Windows authentication mode, we're going to say we want to use SQL Server and Windows authentication mode. You click on this, I click on OK. And it's good. All it's trying to tell you is you need to restart your server. I'm going to come here and I see my restart. Sorry, I always miss that. So the restart is here. Yes, just give it a couple of seconds to restart. Okay, now it has restarted. I'm now going to disconnect this. So let's try again with our SQL Server authentication. And your username is SA. Don't forget, from your login details, you have SA. And I'm going to use this. Let me try again. This time around, it works. Good. And when you come here, you're going to see the database I created, and these are the tables. On the tables, I can just right click on this and say select top 1000 rows. You see, my table is here. But you have a couple of problems when you try to connect from your machine. And this is the machine. If you're using, I'm using SQL Azure Data Studio. You might be using SQL Server Management Studio. They're the same thing. The same connection, the same company, the same brand, the same connection string, the same method of connection. Everything works the same. But let me show you the error. I was going to start to fix it. What is my server? To get my server, I'm going to go back to my public IP address. Just copy the server there, come back here and say this is the server. We paste it. Good. This is the IP of the server. SQL login, and what is the name of my username? My username is SA. Put in the password. I'm going to get an error. Try to connect. This is the error I'm getting, a network related or instance specific error called while establishing a connection to SQL Server, and this cannot be found and all of that. If you try to copy this to do a Google search, you get a ton of options, and most of them might not be really helpful for you. What this is trying to say, there are a couple of things we need to do if we are going to connect from our computer to the remote machine. On the remote machine, you can connect within that network, but when you want to go external, you try to connect with SQL authentication from a machine to that remote machine, you're going to have a couple of problems. There are two places we can fix that problem. The first place is on the virtual machine. So let's go to the virtual machine we have here, and let's look for Configuration Manager. And we're going to open the SQL Configuration Manager. On your Configuration Manager, come to your SQL Server Network configuration. You should have your server that you downloaded. If you have more than one server, you will see the number of servers you have listed. This is TCP IP, is currently disabled. I'm going to enable it. Just enable that. All that is not all. Right click on it again, you go to properties, and let's go to IP address. I have this here, just make this empty, and we're going to put the port number for SQL servers is 1433. Have that there, you click on apply. Okay, yeah, you click on OK again, and this part is taken care of. One more thing we're going to do, let's go to firewall, and we're going to go to Defender Firewall with Advanced Security. Have this opened. On your inbound rules, we're going to create a new inbound rule and make it port. Next, it should be TCP specific local port because I want to use the one for SQL Server, which is 1433. I go to next, allow the connection. Yep, next. Have all of this checked. Next. I'm just going to give it a name. For my own name, I'll call it SQL. Let me call it SQL inbound. Finish. And I think I'm good to go on the server side. And I'll go back to my Azure portal. On my Azure portal, I'm going to do similar thing here. I'll come to my network settings. We're going to create port rule here, inbound port rule. On your service, don't leave it on custom, just go to MSQL. And I come to add, just leave everything. This place is going to give you a warning that you're exposing your internet and all, and it's fine. You come down, you click on add. Take a while to add, and when that is completed, this should work now. And here, there's one more thing we need to do. When you have the name of your machine, you just do a comma and you put that port 1433, and everything being okay, we should be able to connect. Oh, I remember, there's something else we need to do on the server. Remember, when we created all of this, so let's go back to our configuration manager. This is fine. It told us that we needed to restart this for it to work, so let's have it restarted. So you come to your SQL Server services, you go to SQL Server, and we're going to restart this. When we are creating it, told us to actually have it restarted, and we're going to do that. If not, I was going to get an error. Okay, so let's go back to our Azure Data Studio and let's try to connect again. It's going to tell you to try to enable these certificates. It's looking strange. Yeah, let's do this. And we are good. When you open your databases, you're going to see the database I created. This is the table, and I can query this table. I can do select top 1000. And I have it here. So thanks guys for, hope it wasn't a lengthy one. I just wanted to help you understand all of the things that you needed around this, and I'll do more of these videos, simple problems around SQL, Python, databases, and all of that. Thank you for watching. Bye.